I've clung to the word survivor until I find a better one. And I think that one fits because I literally escaped him trying to kill me. I didn't think that, I had survived anything. I was just fighting back, I think I'm still surviving because the abuse doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It's not as powerful as it is anymore. So I still can cling to that word because of 2 or 3 very violent events that I could have died from. So people who experience financial abuse or emotional abuse, verbal abuse, you're kept in your house, your body's shamed, you're not allowed to use the money that you spend, you're not allowed to see your family. You survive those things too, but it's easier for someone who's never experienced this to say, well, you never got hit, you don't have any bruises to show, you didn't call the police, so what did you survive? When you say, I survived domestic violence, I think it puts people who want to understand you, but they can't. Survivor puts people on edge. People are like, yeah, I want to get that, but that's just a lot. So it's a strong word, but I don't think it has to be. It's real. It's very real. Grief's supposed to present itself for us when we lose people. I think a lot of people, they want to say, oh, they were abusive, I never loved them. I did. Then you lose the love. You want to say, oh no, I never loved them, I hated them. Well, maybe, but not for everybody, So, I don't know, grief's necessary, I guess. Grief for hypothetical situations that haven't even happened yet, because I've found myself doing that quite frequently. No right way or wrong way. I think the biggest one for me now is, I call it co-parenting, but it's a sad excuse for co-parenting. Being re-traumatized comes in forms of, even to this day, my family saying, you're too nice because he's still in my life. He's the father of my children. My family's like, you should just hate him. You should do bad things to him. You should sabotage his life. I think my sister, she's my best friend. She's the one who understands. I think my mom, a lot, and not just her, my spouse now, I love him. I think it's taken a lot for him to understand, and not be mad at me, but I feel like I am doing something wrong when I cooperate with the father of my children. I just want them to support me no matter what I decide to do. I think I'm doing the right thing. And I know my family suffered, so they're allowed to be upset about me lying and allowing them to be pushed away from me, making things more important than them. It's probably just as bad witnessing someone you care about, hiding abuse or lying about being abused or letting it just happen and say it's not going to happen. All that stuff that my sister's probably witnessed that she hasn't unpacked. People experiencing grief there's a million different responses. So in their own grief, they're mad that I'm not, for them, they want me to be not nice. I think the grief that people don't understand is he's not going to change. I used to think I could help with that, and that was the whole problem. And I don't have it in me to say he's not allowed to be in their lives. They've never been abused. They're 7 and 3, almost 4 and 8. They have no reason to hate him. I haven't given them one, and I don't plan to. They'll figure it out for themselves, and they can have whatever relationship they want with him. But it can't be decided by me, Revenge isn't mine to give. I've thought about awful things. I think I just want everyone who I love in my life now, in my kid's life, to just be okay, I get it. Instead of giving me a hard time, if he calls and he's asking me what size the clothes they wear so he can buy them clothes, I get yelled at by my mom, but because she's you shouldn't even be giving him the time of day. Don't answer the phone. I think I would love if my family to be 100% supportive. I think it would stress me out a lot less to not be criticized for not spending any more energy and anger on the past. I want my kids to see me I don't want them to see me being bitter. But I bet huge percentage of these situations involve children and their lives growing up watching people that were victims be lost in the past and their pain and their bitterness and stuff, like to continue to try to get revenge. I feel like all that's going to do is create an environment where my daughter's going to allow abuse to be normal. And my son. There's abusive women. I've seen them too. But we are years now past the end of our relationship. What good does it bring me? It's a lot of energy to expend. So that's a grief that society doesn't see. I mean, there's probably a lot of people who, maybe the abuser's in jail, that would be a huge weight off my shoulders. But I can't do that, Maybe they moved away. Maybe they're deadbeat. They don't want anything to do with their kids. But unfortunately, this is the last thing he has clinging. He wants to be a Disneyland dad. He wants to be, I'm the best dad in the whole world. He wants to show up on the first day of school and walk in like he's there all the time and he does everything. He doesn't pay child support. He doesn't do anything. And I don't know. Maybe I think I've compartmentalized a lot of it so I could just live my life because I'll get to it eventually, but I'm not going to do it in anger. I've brought a lot of peace upon myself by just choosing not to explain why I'm doing certain things. This is how it is. When I met my partner now, I even struggled with realizing I was okay, it's going to be another relationship in my life. Being in my relationship now, it's extremely healthy, and you don't trust yourself. You feel gaslit all the time. You don't know if your instinct is real or because before with someone who was abusive, it felt the exact same way. I think there's experiences in my life that bring me back, not to the beginning, but there's a lot of experiences that make you think healing doesn't start all over again, but you thought you were further along than you actually were. At some point, the cycle of abuse, the image of that graphic was shared with me. That was a clinical definition of abuse, that chart, right? And I was like, oh my God. Every moment I could remember, the love bombing and the sorry, and then the presents and the honeymoon phase. And I had several examples for each stage of that. It just made the whole time that we had been in a relationship feel like the Truman Show or something. I was like, oh my God, I don't think that there was a moment that didn't fall into one of these categories. I don't know, every good memory I had, even good and bad memory I had, could be broken down into that graphic that someone shared with me. And I was so pissed when I saw it. That stands out to me a lot. My face was broken on both sides of my jaw, and I was watching myself in an interview recently. I started crying because I was watching myself, and one side of my face, it's numb still here. My nerve damage is permanent on this side because I've had to have my jaw wired shut and everything, and I just wish that I didn't have physical remnants of it, I wish that I didn't have it on my body anymore. Because I just felt so strongly about purging my house of things that were physical representations of our, just sage and burn all you want, but I'm permanently disfigured from it. I don't even think we care. No, I don't want him to care. But I don't even think that that it hurts him to know that he did that to a human being. I wish I could just rip it out of me. So I think a lot of my healing too has been trying to not put so much importance on physical items and stuff. Like, can't like burn every picture. I do have a picture of him and I when we met so that my kids can have it. Can't just erase it. So my first attempt to try and like make things better, while I was pregnant with my daughter, like just kind of talking to his mom and his parents. And I very quickly realized that they were very offended. In fact, I was told, there's certain things that you shouldn't say because it's going to anger him. And you shouldn't have said that, or you shouldn't have done that because now, that's how they are. That's how our culture is. That's how men that really love their families. He's very protective. He's a Leo. So I very quickly realized that he had this army of people around him who, they were abused by this person as well, physically. And so I didn't know that either. I didn't see it in this omniscient way at first, like, oh my God, how could you help if you're scared too? Distant family. So that was my first attempt. And then I was just like, no, this is fine. I think this is not bad, like we could just, you have insomnia, I think, maybe we just need to see a therapist. Another attempt, I remember going to the OBGYN and the doctors and them, asking, are you safe at home? Yeah. And knowing I was lying. When I had I had 2 C-sections. My son, after I'm out of recovery, the nurse comes in and says to me, a similar experience, she says, something about me feeling safe at home. He's standing right next to me. I just found that so awful. Doesn't that discourage people from being honest and open with medical staff? I even remember when we first met, I had an abortion and I didn't tell him. I was really scared. And it makes me think that I think I was scared to have a child with him. I hate that, but I never told him. When I finally, I had a miscarriage after I had my daughter, and the doctor came in and said, so they always do a count. But he walked in and he said, so this is pregnancy number, blah, blah, blah. And that was the worst thing that he could have ever said. I wanted to wring this man's neck. So it was the worst. And I remember calling the hospital and saying, I just want you to know, you can't just walk into a room with a spouse, with 2 people. You don't know if that's a safe environment to disclose that information. That's my medical information. We're not married. That's scary because I'm probably not the only person that happens to. But that was, those moments made me so furious. What would come as me being like, you know what? I am abused at home. Who are you going to go get? You going to take me away to a safe place now? You get bitter about it. Because it's better to just go home and deal with it. You need like a real human approach to it. You can have all the training and the counseling and that experience. Like you can have a doctorate in helping people, just like a doctor does, but your bedside manner sucks. I mean, you're not going to get to that person. I'll be honest, I don't remember reaching out. I lied to everybody. And then when I called the police, the triggering day or moment or incident that led to like complete separation and the road to, us not physically living together and everything. That was when I was accepting of the support because he wasn't around all the time for me to get in trouble, And my sister was there and it was just us. And I was feeling like, okay, I think I can do this. because I'm not going to get in trouble. I mean, I don't blame anyone who doesn't know how to ask for help. I think it's really, really time to get rid of that question of like, why did you stay? I think if I hear it one more time, I'm gonna like break something. I mean, it's stupid. It's really frustrating. Why did you stay? I mean, what? I don't know. It was fun, you know? So I don't blame anyone who didn't ask. There's a lot of steps. Oh my God. Traveling. Being able to just like go somewhere. I'm at the park or something with my kids, and once in a while I still am like, imagine what this would be like if I'm like getting phone calls like, where are you? You're not where you said you were going to be. Just like the whole freedom of like fixing things for myself without anyone around me feeling emasculated. Using a drill. I'm really handy, or like drinking with my friends and not, not that not being like end of the world, and me being vulnerable, again. Like, I don't think I had to reclaim that, but I just had to like not stop, because it's really hard. But I think the man that I love now deserves it. I think everyone in my life deserves, me being vulnerable and not so like bitter. I don't know, reclaiming being like myself, I guess. Not whoever anyone else wants me to be. I think that's the greatest part. Cause like I won't bend on certain things. And I never was like that. I was always just be like, okay, fine. They really don't like that, but all right, let's go do this. And I'm like, okay, I really can just be myself. And it's way better, because then it inspires them to just be genuine as well. I speak as someone who's motivated by any opportunity to like right an injustice. I know that sounds super cliche, but I kind of thrive on correcting things. I speak as someone who always wanted to be a mom since I was like 9 years old. Since I was a kid, my whole family will tell you, I just want to be a mom who knows that, my experiences, good and bad, are, hopefully helping me to be a really good parent that can help them, cope with the world. One thing I would tell someone healing from abuse is that know that as I'm saying this, I'm also speaking to myself, because healing is nonlinear and it's a lifelong thing. It's okay to identify with others who've been through that, but maybe not to thrive on that, because we're all going through different experiences. We've all had different experiences. One thing I would say to someone surviving abuse is that it might take a long time to realize, but it can be one of the most transformative experiences, really. Like, can be really helpful to allow yourself to heal, because you realize how strong you are, and it's not a point that you reach all of the sudden. It's just like it's like a forever building feeling that you just keep like laying bricks on, So I think I'm still in the midst of it, but I can see myself in the future being like, when my children are grown, being like, oh, okay, here's, one more thing that it's empowered me, that like add that to the things that I'm able to do now because I allowed myself to heal.